One thing that should be appreciated about your center and the people who do research and the people who consult, they are top of their different fields. So there is sociology, there is communication, there can be also ethics and economics, especially. And they are all involved in behavioral work. And they are absolutely top people coming from top universities. I think there should be a lot of confidence in the capability of these people.
CBIT researchers have been conducting world-renowned and influential research on behavioral social sciences.
They all come with an internationally well-recognized career of contributions in the social sciences. They have all contributed to leading academic thought through their publications, through presentations. They're all very rigorous in their approaches to what they do. They're careful researchers. Their research is considered essentially in the absolutely top notch of the academic community. And it's hard to imagine that you're going to find a better team that integrates academic social sciences and market design, and with the consideration for and applications towards policy. I think you have an ideal team. I believe in general with the mission of government, which is to help the well-being of people. What I think is really exciting right now in the behavioral social sciences and the work I think that your group is trying to push for is to get more involved in the policy directly. And to give you a really good idea of this, the work I've done in the medical side around blood donations and around plasma donations and bone marrow donations, we've merged the behavioral sciences of understanding how to communicate effectively, transparently to people to help them make better decisions that then produces better outcomes for those individuals and also a better market outcome. We've improved the health of people by more cost effectively being able to provide more blood and plasma in Australia with our market design and behavioral sciences together.
We look at collective behavior, like corrupt behavior, for example, and we try to understand what motivates it. So humans are motivated by imitation and the desire to be approved. It's very important to measure, okay? You have to understand, you have to measure people's expectation, what they think other people are doing, what they think other people are approving or disapproving of, and whether their preference for behavior is conditional on this expectation. And this is very important to develop and deploy this measure is crucial.
If governments are interested in designing a policy for social good, for the good of the society, and having people comply to the policy, they should take into account the regularities of behavior. So across the public and private sectors, we have a fair amount of evidence that market design can help improving efficiency. And for that reason, the British government, the US government, and Australian government, and many other places have installed what's called the Behavioral Insight Unit or the nudge units. And these would be government-funded, systematic long-term collaborations with behavioral scientists and market designers.
It is very important when you do a policy intervention to take into account this diversity, simply because when we have social expectation, they usually refer to a reference network. Now, when we do norm analysis and measurement, we always combine it with a measurement of networks. You have to appreciate always the local context, because within a local context, the values, the norms, the beliefs may be very different from other contexts.
So people tend to bring the habits and the norms of behavior to new environments. And so if people come from all over the world, they tend to bring their cultural norms with them. So knowing where people come from and their cultural traditions and norms would help government structure policies and help local business design better instruments.
We want to make sure before we would implement a policy to think through, would this policy work here? Or is there something unique about the norms or the institutions or the cultural diversity? What we care about is not just that more people are going to, for example, donate blood, or more people are going to, conserve energy. But what we want to know is how much. With this policy, are we really talking about, it has a 1% effect, or are we affecting 40% of the population? And so understanding the unique culture, diversity, and the population and the conditions there, I think is extremely important if we want to know about the effectiveness of policy.
It's a good idea for public policymakers to have long-term collaborations with researchers, simply because sometimes what you observe in a one-shot intervention might not have long-term effects. Repeated interventions for a longer term would be able to tell us when a particular policy is helpful and to give us a more robust estimate of the effect size.
A long-term partnership is crucial. It is very important to follow through with longitudinal studies. The intervention may be successful at the beginning, and then after 6 months, after a year, there is a slippage. Very often, this kind of intervention are a black box. You put an input, you have an output, but you don't know why it worked and why it didn't work. And so it's very, very important to have long-term relations. And you can understand if something doesn't work as you expected, why it didn't work as you expected. So redo measurements, for example. Okay, put the finger on what didn't work and try to modify the intervention accordingly. So it's very, very important long-term work with the policymaker to understand what works and what doesn't work.